Welcome back to the Stakk YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. We are on one mission and one mission only, man. Building wealth through digital assets, okay?
Yes,
bring people the best in crypto adoption, okay? But before we jump into the show, we do have a little bit of an exciting announcement, right? We're kind of late, but, late to our own show. But we are going to be working with the Gentlemen of Crypto channel, right? Which I'm completely excited about this because that is a channel where, I am also a supporter of that channel. You know what I mean? I've been there, always been in the comment section when they're live. And these guys have always just been dropping so much good information, providing so much value for the community, learn so much about crypto and Bitcoin from them as well, right? And so to be at this position now where they're giving us an opportunity to create content and deliver it on their channel as well, I'm excited for it. It's something that they clearly don't have to do, but they did it anyway. And we just want to say thank you. It's an incredible opportunity, and we're going to keep aiming to bring the best we can to you guys.
Oh, yes.
Double up.
And to talk about bringing the best to you guys, expect to see us on Mondays at 9 a.m. to 9:30 in the morning.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
of course, you're going to also see us on Thursdays at 9 a.m. to 9:30 as well. But this time around, we'll be live. And on Thursdays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. These are all Eastern time code, by the way.
Hey, yes, sir. Look at that, man. We are crypto warriors, right? We are part of the crypto warrior nation. And look at us now. We're on here. Anyway, massive thanks to King and to Bitcoin Zay for doing this. We think it's absolutely incredible. So with no further ado, then let's jump right into the show. One of the things that is going on right now is the excitement around Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and the use case that comes with some of this, cryptocurrencies. What we're going to be talking about today is the big dog, right? The OG, the original, okay, Bitcoin, and a use case as a tool for independence, right? Here's the thing. We've seen a lot of cryptocurrencies come out. We've seen a lot of different things promising to do a wide array of things, from decentralized everything, right? Which that, by the way, is a problem and something that I'd like to talk about.
That's a whole argument on itself.
Dude, I mean, look, man, you cannot call your crypto decentralized if it's clearly not, because clearly we're all obviously finding out that some of these things are just not that decentralized. But what we would like to talk about today is Bitcoin as a tool for independence. So what we've done, we've picked an area of the world where we think that Bitcoin is going to make a significant difference, right, in changing their environment as it is right now. So if you don't mind, I would like to take you back. You just, story time, right? I'd like to take you back, way back to the 17th century. Okay. When, where was this? Berlin, right? 17th century Berlin. A group of
Super rich folks in France.
Super rich. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I would say a group of entitled individuals gathered at the Berlin Conference, right? This is what is known as the Scramble for Africa. So you had these guys who came together and had a meeting on how to distribute Africa amongst themselves. France was one of those countries, right, where after this Berlin Conference, what essentially happened was all these African nations lost their independence, right? And so France now had the go ahead to move into Africa, right? And the main motivation was to exploit raw materials and enforce assimilation. Now, some of the victims of this situation here, you have Senegal, Guinea, Niger, Cameroon, that's where I was born, Ivory Coast, Mali, Togo, and Central African Republic. Central African Republic is important. We're going to be coming back to that one. But what happened then is that the French rode into the zone, and obviously they felt that their culture was superior. So other than exploiting the African continent for their raw materials, which they used for trade, where the Africans saw no profit from it, they proceeded to force their language, culture, and dining, like Double O said there, right, on the people. This is a difficult thing to do. How do you think that turned out, sir?
Well, I think the trouble started way before even the old colonization or the loss of your independence. It got worse because there was this old slave trade going on.
Right.
As we know, all the European countries were involved in it. The Dutch, the British, including the French in so many cases. So at that conference, that was when they said, "Oh, you know what? As a matter of fact, we'll now own you guys. We are no longer just coming here to take you guys as slaves. We own your land." That was the whole intent of that. So, which is exactly one of the reasons why we're having this topic today. When do you get your freedom? Because people tend to believe that Africa is free or Africa has gotten its independence. But from what you've showed, the independence is not there.
The independence is not there, and it only gets worse as we go. I mean, I hope people understand how insane this is. Imagine this, bro. Some guy walks into your house and it's like, "Sir, listen, I am here. You could just rest. I'm going to take over. Go outside and wash the car, by the way. I'm colonizing your living room, colonizing your house, your wife, your kids. Just, make sure you clean everything. Make sure everything is good." How would that fly over?
Sure. And if you don't do it, I'll kill you and just take over everything.
Exactly. Colonization. Why did they call it colonization? Because I just think isn't that what robbery is, or hijacking, whatever the extreme cases might be, right? But here's the thing. Here's what we know. We know that as this was happening, right, we had countries that were still fighting to liberate themselves from this. Guinea is one of those countries. When they demanded their independence in 1958, France responded with complete destruction. Do you think this may be one of the reasons why so many countries on that continent are not moving forward?
Do I think that's the reason why? It's the reason why.
Do you think it's a
It's not a matter of thought, it's a fact.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely one of those reasons.
Look at the time frame. That is very recent. 1958.
It is
still
very
alive
recent
right now.
And now here's the thing. One thing that annoys me about this is because, I've always wondered, especially growing up, right? Being born in Cameroon myself, it's like you go through this whole period of your lifetime, right? And then there's a point where you look back and you go, why is it that nothing has changed over this long period of time? And what I'm referring to is this fact that my whole life, I'm like, hey, everyone is always donating money to Africa. There's always someone is always running something that is supposed to help fund things in Africa. How much money does it take to turn a place around, right? So there has to be some other active hands in play, right? Other than this, right? You also have guys like the IMF that are helping this, lack of development in these countries. Would that be somewhat accurate?
Well, it's more than accurate. I think absolute power it's corrupted. What we've seen on the African continent is exactly this, and this is just French colonizers alone. But what you say is that the resources come, the money come to take resources. The money don't come to solve the problem.
To solve any problems,
yeah,
absolutely.
And when the money comes, it just buys out the corrupted leaders that the African continent have, and those that are good don't ever survive.
Now, you see, the thing is, obviously, there is this idea that the French have left because this colonization was going on. There was the English and the French, right? The English left, and they're just like, we're gone and we're gone.
They never left.
Yeah, well, with the French, it's a bit more intense, right? Because what happens is, after 1960, right, and this is after the whole situation with Guinea, we can see that even though it is said that this colonization came to an end, right, we can still see that over 50 nations, right? Oh, sorry, over the past 50 years, over 26 African countries have had coups, 67 coups, right? Altogether. And in 16 of those countries where there have been this 67 coups were French colonies, right? Because you see, what happened here is that even though the French left, right, they really just replaced that direct rule with something else. And for any leader that was not playing their game, we could see that they were either assassinated or overthrown, right? Here are some guys. Sylvanus Olimpo, right? President of Togo, first and third president of Togo, actually. Overthrown. No, actually, he was assassinated. We have David Dacko, assassinated. Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso.
Guy.
Bro, Sankara was
that guy was giving it to them too.
Hey, look, man, okay? But every time, and here's the thing, every time and that any of these guys were overthrown or straight up assassinated, we can see that the outcome was, or the reasons were really kind of along the same lines, right? Either these guys were trying to reject the French presence in their country, or trying to remove the French franc, which is the currency they use, from their country. Because what happens is, even though France has left, they still have a stronghold on their economy and their politics, right? I would like to remind everyone what colonialism is in this situation as well, right? Colonialism is the domination of a people or area by a foreign state or nation, right? The practice of extending or maintaining a nation's political and economic control over another area. So it would seem, despite the fact that they left, they're still very much in there, right? In this former French colonies, and still running the show.
Yeah, right? there's no need for Independence Day. Just forget it. You're still colonized. I mean, that's the definition. What else are you arguing about?
Exactly. That is exactly what it is. That's exactly what is going on there. And, it is very clear that the French, incite these things. They are definitely engineering, how would you say, the removal of this precedents, right? Now, obviously, we know that this gets even worse, right? There are some other factors that are still in play right now. For example, the French require these former African colonies to put 85% of their money into the French central bank, right? And it is managed by the French. They also impose a colonial tax on African countries. How insane is this? Extracting about $500 billion from the French, allowing only 15% of this reserve to them, by the way. So if whatever nation wanted to borrow money, which is insane that they even have to borrow their own money, they can only access about 15% of it, and only so much within a year. So we have France controlling the finances of all these African nations and restricting trade. So the French can get to decide which other countries that these African countries can trade with and how much they can spend as well. It would seem to me very clear that France does not respect the independence of these other nations.
Well, how would you respect them if you still think that they are your colonies and you control them?
This is true. And that sort of idea is the type of one that we want to disabuse in our environment. There's the thing. It's interesting because this is not even a debating matter anymore, because we can see that even French presidents have come out saying, essentially saying the same thing, understanding that we have gained a lot from Africa, and it would be probably not the best idea to keep acting like it wasn't the case, right? So we see some quotes here from the former French president Jacques Chirac. Without Africa, France will slide down into the rank of a third world power. And we also have in December the French prime minister saying we have to speak the language of truth. African growth pulls us along. Is dynamicism, how do you pronounce that word? its dynamicism supports
Yeah.
its dynamicism supports us and is vitally stimulating for us. We need Africa. But I just want to rephrase that a little bit if I can. We have to speak the truth. Okay? African growth is not really African growth. It's African extortion pulls us along. Okay? Its dynamicism supports us and it's vitally stimulating for us. This extortion and this pillaging of other people's land is vitally stimulating, if you will, for us. That's what I'm seeing. Because if you feel this way about a certain something, then you should probably be taking care of that thing, wouldn't you?
Well. This is for the people out there, right? The money is coming so easy that they just feel like, you know what, we can't let it go. That's basically what that means. That, you know, it's so important. We can't give these people their freedom. We have to make sure that we have our rope around their neck at all means possible. And without them, we're not going anywhere.
We will take and take until we can't take anymore. But here's the thing. Obviously, all of this situation, you know, all of this, everything we just painted here is all kind of like, how would you say? It paints a gray picture, right? Unfair weather picture of the situation in Africa. But can these people free themselves? Ever, right? So now we enter into this period of time where we have this thing called Bitcoin, right? Which is proving, because as the more you understand Bitcoin, right, and the things that it should be able to allow you to get around, it would seem that Bitcoin should be something that should be able to pull the people out of this sort of situation, right?
Hey, that was my thought when I was in Nigeria last year.
Right.
I could see why the government or the IMF is telling African countries not to accept Bitcoin or accept cryptocurrencies. But the reality is that if they do, they would unleash that chain or that rope around their neck. And that could probably eventually give African countries that freedom that they've always requested. But unfortunately, for a lot of these African countries, those in power are those put in there by the colonizers. But I think we're starting to see some push out of that. Don't you think? Absolutely.
I think we are, because it's a different generation. The previous one, it also was a generation that was not exposed to a lot of information. Right.
Yeah.
Now we live in a time with social media. Anything you do anywhere in the world can be seen. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Bitcoin is going to flip these places around in a heartbeat, but I am saying that it is cool that we have a different solution and a different approach to this thing. I don't think Africans need people to keep donating stuff to them because it's not because they're incapable, right?
They have the resources. That is why countries like France is there.
Exactly.
The money is there. China
it is the richest.
There.
Right. It is the richest planet. Right. It is the richest. I just said it's the richest planet. It's the richest continent when it comes to natural resources.
It must well be a planet.
Hey, right. Everyone is launching a rocket to Africa or something. Anyway, it is a very rich planet, right? And so
continent.
Jesus Christ. Listen, man. Africans are from a different planet. That's what it is. So it is a very rich continent, right? So it does not make sense with very capable and smart people. So it does not make sense that they are where they are right now. I mean, it makes sense. It is corruption. But this is what Bitcoin is here to attempt to change, right? Yeah. At least we hope so. Now, we have some movement on the ground already. The Central African Republic has adopted Bitcoin. Which, by the way, speaking of the Central African Republic, this country has gone through a lot of turmoil over time. I was born in Cameroon, right? And where I was born was kind of like almost. I'm from the northwest. Am I from the Am I from the northwest or the southwest? I'm the southwest, right? But we're more on the east coast. Yeah, so we're kind of close to Central African Republic. When I think about it and when I understand the turmoil that has gone down in South Africa, man, I'm not going to lie to you, bro. I count myself to be lucky. Do you know that just a little bit, man, I could have been born in a very different environment? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Because you don't really get to pick where you're born, right?
You don't get to pick. It's
exactly. And so you pop out, you're where you are, and that could determine the rest of your life. So insane. But let's get back to the situation here. So the Central African Republic, right, adopts Bitcoin, or they've officially made Bitcoin legal tender, right? And we see that one of the things that this can help the Central African Republic do is to be able to trade without going through the French. Because as of right now, if the French were to try to make any trades, or if any of these countries, the ex-French colonies, try to make any trades, they have to go through France. France has to approve it. France has to be okay with it, right? If there is some sort of growth, the French can definitely debase their currency.
Yeah, debase, tax them.
Exactly. So there is no way out of this hole. However, the idea behind Bitcoin is that you'll be able to have your own sovereignty, right? Having that control, right, over your economy, control over your spending, your wealth, what is yours, right? And being a great store of value, right? Because so no one can debase your currency as the French are doing to all these other places right now. And this is happening in other Spanish countries as well, right? And then your country and everyone else in it gets a fair opportunity to be included in the global economy, which is, freedom, if you ask me. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think at this point, if you're an African country and you're really serious about your independence, your true independence, or your true freedom from colonization, you need to think, how do you get out of it? And one of the biggest challenges that African countries have had is the ability to keep their money or have their own money. There was an attempt to have the African currency, and the leader of that initiative, Gaddafi, was killed. So that was a no-go. Another big challenge as an African country is the ability to keep your resources or maintain your resources, basically your store of value. The moment you start building that up, the IMF and all those other big banks know how to devalue your currency so that you stay indebted to them, right? So that's another big issue. And the biggest challenge for all African countries is growing your economy. How do you grow your economy? If you don't have the money, you can't grow an economy. So you're always constantly having to borrow money. So if you say you switch to something like the Bitcoin standard, right, which allows you to, it's a limited resource, limited amount of sources, right? And you can now trade your resources with international countries without the devaluation of your currency. Then you can grow your economy and you can kind of leave that poverty line. You don't need other people's money. So that's one of the reasons why we have the show today, is that Africa's independence is right there if they can just start to learn the Bitcoin standard.
We can even see, say, if we take El Salvador, for example, right? Yeah. We can see that there's been some benefits to this thing. One of those things is, say, something like money remittance, right?
Yep. That's the biggest one too.
That is a massive one, right? Because I've had this conversation with people before, and they're like, well, the development is not there in Africa to make these things happen. Not everyone has access to smartphones and stuff like that. Here's the thing. I think with awareness, right, and the continuous adoption of Bitcoin, that is not a problem at all. Okay. I want to point you to Ukraine recently, right?
Yep.
We saw how fast that situation reversed into a third world country.
Yep.
Right. But the amount of money that flew into that country through cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin is unlike anything we've ever seen before.
Yep.
At no other point in time in our history have people been able to impact someone's life directly, without even knowing them, directly, right? Without any third-party interference from the government, or I don't know who else stands in the way of financial, I guess, transactions, right? Yeah. We've seen somewhere like Canada where banks were able to freeze people's accounts, but they could not stop something like Bitcoin. So there is that. I am very, very excited for this. South Africa has taken the first move on this one. I am hoping that we'll see more and more countries kind of follow suit with this as well, because if we can all get on the Bitcoin standard, right, I think that is definitely going to be a strong future for all of us. Final thoughts, sir.
So Africa's vision, or the African World Forum, whatever it's called, vision to have a single currency could easily be solved. Worrying about all the different greed and all the different mindsets would be removed if you just go to one standard, Bitcoin standard. You don't have to worry about each country's political issues, because Bitcoin does not have any borders.
There's no borders at all. Yeah. Before we close this one out, this one just actually came to my mind because we actually read about this a little while ago. I think that with the adoption of Bitcoin, right, it opens this economy to investments as well, right? Of course, the violence has to stop. The wars cannot keep going, but we also know that part of this wars is because of a massive amount of these wars that are going on there is because of the French, right? So if we can get around this situation, I think that Africa is really a blank slate for new technologies, right? Because if you think about it, especially when it comes to things like Bitcoin mining, if you can set up in an environment that is not already functional, which means you have to redesign the infrastructure. But if you can set up in an environment where there's so many resources and there's so many people can benefit from the development of mining plants in that environment, right? Shared electricity. This will bring electricity to people. This will bring jobs to people. This is how you grow an economy. And I think with Bitcoin, we can do that.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about transitioning from legacy to updating. You just go straight to updating.
Exactly. There you go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please do not forget to like, share, subscribe, right? Our screen is not working right now. That is a bit sad, but okay, well, we're just gonna ditch that situation. Let's just ditch that situation. We're gonna ditch the situation. We tried to be fancy, okay? We wanted to bring the best of the best on the Gentlemen of Crypto show, but we'll just stick with our little basic one here. If it is your first time on the Gentlemen of Crypto show channel, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel.
And subscribe.
Also, follow us and subscribe to our channel over on Stakk on YouTube, Stackfin on our social media pages. On our social media pages, we like to engage with Peter Schiff. He does not respond. Can you believe Peter Schiff has still not responded to us to this day, bro?
He will eventually. We're not big enough for this.
Yeah, he'll do that when gold goes to zero. Freaking useless asset,
never
man.
go to zero.
Yeah, he's probably not going to go to zero. Just like Bitcoin is never going to go to zero, but he says it all the time. Right? There we go.
Guys, like and subscribe
to
the Gentlemen of Crypto's channel for sure. Thanks for watching.
Until next time, Brazen out.
Double O.